Here are today's episode highlights.
We will be talking about a very tough transition for many women. And it's the D word, divorce.
Dick? Oh, sorry. I was scared. I was like, oh my God. I felt like my whole identity was me being a wife. And I had been with him. I'd been married to him for over 20 years.
As a friend, me dio tanto coraje, amiga.
Yeah.
Me dio tanto coraje. Like, wait, no. Ella fue la que dio a luz. Ella fue la que la trajo al mundo.
But you know that things are not right. They don't feel right.
Right.
You're not being as intimate. Like, okay, what's going on?
The distance.
The distance of it all. So,
Yeah.
yes, there's different endings.
Yo sí creo honestamente que mientras exista el amor, that couple's going to fight for it.
I want to be with someone who just does not want to lose me and it's like gonna
Absolutely.
work so hard to keep that relationship
You want
going.
someone that will fight for you.
Fight for me.
That will fight for you and for the
I didn't feel
marriage
the
and for the
fight.
family in this case, because obviously
I
there's
didn't feel
two
the fight.
daughters. And when you don't see the fight and you don't feel the fight, then why are you fighting?
You both have to work at it, right? I think relationships,
two.
when they say it's hard work, it's not that you're going to have difficult moments all the way through. It's that you need to learn how to communicate.
Me and my daughter bought him a little cake to blow the candles, and Daddy never got home that night. So it was really, really screwed up.
How painful for your daughter.
Very painful. Super painful.
This is, I guess, the way I was meant to be treated.
Yes,
But again, my trauma kicks in. Like, where's the catch? What's going to happen?
Sí.
When's the ball going to drop?
Oye, y aparte, bien galán, o sea.
Ay,
¿también lo pediste así de
sí.
guapo?
I mean,
así de guapo lo
you
pediste.
know what? I just said easy on the eyes. I wasn't even trying to be picky, but damn, I was like, okay, great.
That I'm dating a man at that point. I'm not even a stepmom. What does that look like, right? What does that look like?
And what is your family going to say? That must have been another conversation.
That was a tough one.
If you ever bring a man into your life, really know everything about that man. Seriously, run a fucking background check on that man.
We can never forget, but we can forgive. And I just came to terms that that's just part of my story.
But I'm independent. I love me.
Beautiful.
And the partner is just a bonus.
Let's not be afraid of that word, okay?
That's right.
We're not
Yes.
promoting divorce.
No.
We're promoting self-love.
Yes.
That's
¿Verdad?
right.
Que no.
That's right.
Y por
Self-love.
nosotras.
To the next one.
Tragos de amargo licor.
Hey girl, welcome! We've been waiting for you. Bienvenida! We are four comadres and we are so excited to have you here. I am Argelia.
I am Mindy.
I am Diana.
And I'm Janet. This is Comadres Unfiltered. ¡Salud!
Salud.
Comadritas, tú y Janet. Tú y yo somos uno mismo porque traemos vinito y aquellas traen un... I don't know what you guys are
Mystery
drinking.
drink.
Mystery.
Beware.
Mystery.
Which, by the way, comadritas, I have great news.
Oh, you do?
We have an appointment with the merch guy.
We do.
We
We're so excited.
Yes,
so
we
merch
are.
is coming.
Merch
You've
is
been
coming.
asking, and we're delivering.
We are
we're
going
also
to
super
deliver.
excited because I want to wear.
Keep talking.
I want to wear my comadres, like logo, and I want to wear like some fun comadres merch.
Oh,
Don't you?
yeah.
You know we're going to put our family and friends in it, whether they like it or
Whether
not.
they like it or not, the trucker hat with my dad.
Yo soy de cachucha, so you know we're doing caps.
Oh, yes.
Oh, for sure.
heck yeah.
Right? We're all
100.
cachucha girls, right?
Oh, yes.
And it's gonna be
Yes.
cute. It's gonna
Very
be
cute.
Yeah, it's
Very
gonna be
cute.
Cute.
And we're going to have to do an
Anyways.
epised in our merch.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
yes, we have to, girl.
We have
¿Cómo
to.
vamos a vender?
Ya
We're gonna be like the Price is Right. O Sábado Gigante back in the day, las modelos, no? Anyways, yes, let's laugh all we want right now because we're gonna start crying in a few minutes. No,
hope
just
not.
kidding.
I know.
Hopefully
Let's
we
not.
won't cry because it's an empowerment,
It is.
uplifting
It is.
episode. We will be talking about a very tough transition for many women, and it's the D word, divorce.
Dick? Oh, sorry.
I was thinking
One
it
and
and
the
she was
same
saying
sometimes.
it. No filter. No filter.
Sorry.
¿En dónde está tu mente?
Hey.
The D word.
The D word.
Like, come on. Comadrita.
Yeah,
It also goes one and the same. There's a lot of those.
You know what? Wait. Yeah, you're right. Divorce. He's a
That's
Yeah,
right.
right.
exactly.
You're right. ¿Sabes
Yeah.
qué? Cheers
One
to
of the
that.
same.
Cheers to that. Eso me gustó.
Bueno, yo no estaba pensando en ese tipo.
Cochinona. Ay.
Obviously, divorce is a very heavy word. It is a difficult word that carries so much weight. D is going literally through the thick of it. Goma Mindy has gone through it and still processing that chapter.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Janet, you came into it. You never asked for it, but life just, hey, la vida es la vida. And you happen to marry someone that has gone through divorce.
Yeah.
I grew up with it. So we all have our perspectives of the D word, divorce. And today we're going to analyze, because I have a feeling that a lot of our comadritas, many men, maybe it's because they're going through it. Porque ya no estamos en tiempos de antes donde aguantábamos la cruz que nos tocó.
Yeah,
Which our grandmas, ni modo, es la cruz que te tocó. And if you're not happy, they cheat on you once, twice. It is what it is, and you live with it. No, not anymore. I mean, I'm not promoting divorce here, but we have to stand up for our own happiness, right?
Absolutely.
And that's what we're all
Know your
doing.
boundaries.
Yeah,
Yeah,
know our
exactly.
boundaries. So today we're gonna go heavy on this topic that we've been discussing on a personal level with Dee, because you've shared a lot on the podcast.
Yeah.
And you've shared a lot on your social media.
Yeah.
And that is the reason why we're actually tackling this topic today, because I was very intrigued by what you shared literally a week ago, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
About one of the challenges of going through divorce.
Co-parenting.
Co-parenting. Especially when the teens are involved heavily in decisions, or maybe not, no sé. Pero el punto es que you going through it is what inspired this issue today. So I want to give you the first word. Like, comadre, esta es tu plataforma. Whatever you need to let go, or whatever guidance you need, maybe not from us, but from them. I mean, whatever you want to share, because you are not alone.
Well, what I want to share is that when we first talked about my divorce on the podcast, I was a lot more emotional and still very hurt, and I still didn't feel healed. And I feel more healed now than I have in months. I would say like late last year, things started turning around for me, and I started feeling more confident in everything that I had already gone through. Like all the darkness just felt like it wasn't so dark anymore. And I'm in a new relationship. So that helps. I feel really, I'm so happy. And the relationship started like after I started feeling like this difference in me. I definitely feel healed. And I think something that I would offer to our listeners and viewers is that it does get better. Because I was so scared when I first decided to split up from my husband, or my ex-husband. I was scared. I was like, oh my God, I felt like my whole identity was me being a wife, and I had been with him. I'd been married to him for over 20 years, and I was with him. Yeah, I was with him for like 25 years, because we dated for 5.5 years before we got married. So
and you also got married very young.
I got married really young.
20?
Right. I was 24 when
So
I
it
got
wasn't
married.
like you were dating around many men and stuff and experiencing life. It was like your first big love.
Yeah, my first big
serious
love. And so it was like everything I knew was with him. All my life experiences, well, most of my adult life experiences had happened with him. So not having him as my husband and not being a wife, oh my God, was so scary to me. But through my healing, I have learned to be myself, to love myself and learn new things and be my own person. And, I've got this podcast. I keep thinking about, if I was still married, would I be doing this podcast?
Would you?
Como que Diosito me lo puso en mi camino so that I could reinvent myself. I was always in broadcast news and stuff like that, but I never did anything for myself. And for the first time, I feel like I'm doing stuff for me.
And for others.
And for, that's great. And the other thing, one of the reasons why I decided to split from my ex was I didn't want my daughters, like you were talking about, breaking that pattern of te toca lo que te toca. I was like, I don't want my daughters to see me unhappy. I didn't want my daughters to think that what happened was okay. So I'm proud of myself. Like now, like I said, 1 year later from when we first started developing this podcast, I feel like a whole different person, and I am so happy. I'm so much happier, but I still struggle.
Yeah.
I still have challenges. Like we said, co-parenting. Yeah. That is a challenge. That is a challenge. It's hard parenting, as you know, with two people under the same roof.
Yes.
Like two partners.
It's a challenge.
That's a challenge. Imagine like living separately. Now they have their own life. I have a life. But overall, I'm proud of myself that, I do have a fairly good relationship with my ex. He's a great dad. He helps me out a lot. We still, I think, have a deep care and love for each other. It's just different now.
Sí.
I'm still resentful on him. So if anything, I'm the toxica one.
So let me ask you this. So I know that you said that you've healed. But the fact that right now you said that you're still resentful, to me that tells me, and correct me if I'm wrong, porque I'm learning from you.
Yeah.
To me that tells me that you're not 100% healed, because if you're still resentful, that means que todavía hay algo ahí que te molesta de la situación. Maybe, obviously, I'm happy that you're in a new relationship, because I've seen you. You're glowing, girl. Trust me. We've seen it in pictures. We've seen it in real life. And by the way, we love him. We love him for bringing so much joy to your life.
Yes.
But I feel that maybe you're not 100% healed when you say that you're resentful because of the situations that you don't ask for. Like, I'm going to share what you shared in social media last week. And a lot of women started to give you
I got
input
a lot of
and
DMs.
advice. It was harsh to know that your daughter was celebrating her birthday and that you couldn't be at her birthday dinner the day of because she was going to be with her dad and the new partner. So for me to see that you were releasing all that emotion on social media as a friend, me dio tanto coraje, amiga.
Yeah.
Me dio tanto coraje. Like, wait, no, ella fue la que dio a luz. Ella fue la que la trajo al mundo. Well, I know with the help of a man, but still.
Yeah.
I'm like, Dee deserves to be queen and like priority. But then again, that's not my life. So I don't want to disrespect the decision.
That was her daughter's time with her dad.
Sí, pero al final del día, she was hurting.
Yes.
She was going through a moment. And that's why she went to social media to see...
To vent.
What? Yes.
Yeah.
So that's why I want to ask you, and that's probably a situation that a lot of moms are facing. How do you learn how to co-parent when ya hay otra persona in the picture? Because it's also happening. You have a person in your life. So it could have happened the other way around.
Yeah. And I think about that. I put myself in shoes. Here's like, here's an example, for instance, like, my ex has been with this partner for a while. I don't know exactly how long, but I know I've seen her now in his life for like almost a year, maybe. She's very nice. And you know what? I'm very nice to her. She's very polite. She takes care of my girls. I know that when they're out doing family things together, I know that she's taking care of my daughters. I guarantee you she's the one cutting up my little one's steak and taking them to the bathroom and maybe walking into Sephora with them while, dad waits outside. I have total respect for her. She's very sweet. She's been very polite to me, to my face. I don't know behind closed doors, but I treat her the same way. I treat her very nicely. She didn't have anything to do with my breakup, so that's another reason why I'm nice to her.
That's good. Yeah.
And I just feel like karma, like what goes around comes around. When it is my turn and my ex has to come pick up the girls from my house and my new partner is there, I want him to have the same respect. I want him to be polite also, and hopefully listen. And my ultimate dream, this is a goal. I don't know if we'll ever get there, but like my ultimate goal is that we'll all new partners will be part of holidays and birthdays.
Modern family.
Modern family.
Modern family.
I strive for that. When I first split from my ex, I thought that's the way it was going to be. Oh, he's going to have a girlfriend and I'm going to have a boyfriend and we're going to all like be so like happy for each other. And our kids are going to be like, oh my God, look at us. We have 2 moms and 2 dads. And it's not like that.
Not yet.
It's not like that.
There's a lot of emotions. There's a lot of emotions that you have to get through. I mean,
well, I think like one of the emotions was seeing him, in my opinion, move on so quickly. I was like, damn, you didn't need time to heal. You weren't hurt that like we split up, that our family is broken now. Like, wow, okay, good for you for moving on so quickly.
A lot of men move on very, very quickly.
Oh,
but that's
it
also
was
perceived,
so
right? Like there's what they do and there's how they feel. And so who knows what's going on in their emotions and how they're dealing with it. And a lot of times in Spanish we say un clavo saca el otro, which is, what one nail takes another nail out. But like I think men just tend to go to the next, or like try to heal in a physical way,
Physical way. Look what you just said.
Physical
Un clavo
way.
saca otro clavo at the moment.
in the moment.
Pero nosotras somos más de emociones.
Yeah.
Like, no, espérame. I'm still processing this emotionally, mentally,
Yeah.
spiritually even. Like, there's no way I can even look at the guy at Starbucks.
Right.
Even though they
Yeah.
write their number on there. Whatever. It's like, todavía no estoy ahí.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just we do process things differently. That's why I feel that you feel that way. Because they're just wired differently,
Yeah.
you know? And that's their way of coping with healing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I think they're still healing as well. They just don't heal the same way we do. They don't. They're not as verbal about it. And you know, everybody's different, right?
Well,
But-
also there's people that have affairs,
right,
and that's what brings it to divorce. I mean, we keep forgetting about that. It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it's not just most of them are not just breakups.
Right.
A lot of them is because one person
Right.
is done with the other and is already involved in another relationship. You know, and sometimes it's for a long time. You don't even know that they were
Right.
there.
Yeah.
But you know that things are not right. They don't
Right.
feel right.
Right.
You're not being as intimate. Like, okay, what's going on?
The distance.
The distance of it all. So,
Yeah.
yes, there's different endings and beginnings, right? To
Right.
divorce. But yes, so a lot of relationships end because of, affairs. And it really, really sucks. And I just want to say that divorce in itself sucks so bad. It's awful.
Yeah, nobody marries
You know
thinking
what?
about a
No,
divorce.
no. I'm not going to candy coat it or anything like that. Divorce is absolutely awful because you have that dream of building a family and getting old together. So when this comes crashing down for different reasons, right? Many things happen. Sometimes, yes, you fell in love, but then you're not a match, or you grow apart. You got together with that person very young, and then you just kind of fall apart. It just. Love dies. You don't maybe, and it just doesn't die alone. Someone wasn't paying attention. Someone wasn't giving the other person what they needed, and sometimes you're that person. You realize later, like, oh shit, I could have done better or been there better, right? Because that person was asking for it, and you take it for granted. Things happen. But here's a different perspective that I've been really digging deep and, just kind of like reading about it, a lot, is that sometimes us women, we quickly say, well, we are not going to stick around because I'm not happy, right? Like my mom did or whatever.
Sí, claro.
And we never think about our kids. Like we think about us, like, oh, my happiness matters. What about the kids?
Yeah.
What about the kids? You're going to put those kids through the ringer. You are going to put them. Now, there's two ways to look at this. One way is saying, no, but you know what? It's worse if you guys are like not getting along and your
Fighting.
kids see it, right? Okay. Let me be clear here. If you're in an abusive relationship, by all means, please move on. Move on. When you're getting, mentally abused, right? Verbally and physically.
Physically.
That's awful.
Which is what I saw in my house.
That's awful. You got
get
to
to
get
that.
rid of that. You got to move on from that. But if you're having a hard time, right, and you guys are trying to work it out, and the kids see that, it's not terrible. Like they see that you are, no matter what, you're trying to put it back together. Like, wow, my parents, they've been married for over 20 years. Yeah, they went through some pitfalls, but God, they always stuck it out, even at the hardest times. So that's honestly, I don't promote divorce, and I'll tell you why. Because it really fucks up kids. It destroys them. Most of them. Very few are strong enough to just navigate. Most kids really, the statistics are awful. And I just want to, be very realistic about that. That's instead of not always think about like, well, I want to be happy, right? And I get it. You want your kids to see you happy, but they still go through the ringer.
Can I ask you something?
Yeah.
Would you still be married today? Like, would you have stuck it out for your daughter?
I wanted to stick. Great question. I did want to stick it out when
Because
things were
of your
falling
daughter.
apart. I really did think through it, and I really I fought to keep it. Went to therapy, and let's go to therapy. Let's try to fix it. And I'm pretty sure you did too. I think so. I really did because I really did not want divorce, but he was already gone.
He had
That's
checked
the
out.
problem, though.
He had
both
already
of you need
checked
to
out.
be. Both of you need to
Correct.
be wanting to make
Both
it work.
need to be. That's another
that's
thing.
the
There's
key.
so many
You
layers.
both need to invest
Both
and
need to
give
have
time
that.
to the relationship.
Exactly. Now, if the other one doesn't want to do it, you can't force the other person to do it either. So you have no choice, right?
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is that if you do have a choice and both of you guys don't just let it go so easily. Just, work through it if you can. And if you cannot, then you know at least what you're in for. Like protect those kids no matter what.
You know what, Mindy? Like I think that's a very good point. I've said this, and I think I said this to you. I said, you always give 110%, You give your all to something before you let it go, whether it's a relationship or a new venture or a job, whatever it is. You give 110% to make it the best you can, but you have to have boundaries. And at some point, I think navigating that next phase of your life when you're deciding to move into divorce is important too. I think navigating and knowing what's going to be ahead for the kids, getting help. You know what I mean? I think, having you.
But you know what, Janet? Sometimes you don't navigate through it. You're literally thrown into it.
Right.
Like somebody throws you against a fucking brick wall. Okay? You don't get like, oh, let's cushion it. You don't get any of that. Okay? Nobody wants to get divorced. Well, if you're in it for the long run. But some people, what I'm saying is that some people give up way too easy.
Sí, tiran la toalla
Oh my
luego.
God, I'm not happy. Like the vibe is not there. It's like,
Well, let me ask you this. That maybe because it wasn't real love. I mean, let's talk about that. Maybe una cosa is for relationships to just fall apart because, long distance or work hours. I know that's what happens, especially in LA. We're in LA. And so here is it's insane how marriages don't see each other because of just a heavy workload away from home, right? But sometimes, let's just say it, people fall out of love, one, or people thought it was love, but it wasn't real love. Porque yo sí creo honestamente que mientras exista el amor, that couple's going to fight for it. But when one couple is checked out because they fell out of love or they thought they were in love, so it's easy for that person to walk out the door. While the other person's like, no, I'm fighting for this marriage because I truly, genuinely love you, even though right now I hate you for doing what you're doing to me, but I still freaking love you.
Oh, yeah.
Entonces, mientras hay amor, hay oportunidad y esperanza de salvar el matrimonio. But it takes two to tango, right?
It takes two to
tango.
does.
Because that's when it becomes insulting.
Yeah.
¿De qué sirve pelear con todo tu alma? Like I know you did, porque me tocó verlo. Cuando la otra persona doesn't even want to go to therapy or not even to talk about it like in private with just me, who I am supposed to be the love of your life, or I am the mother of your child.
Yeah.
That's when you take a step
like
back.
you said, boundaries.
You look at yourself in the mirror and you're like, okay, love me first. I got to take care of me. I got to take care of my feelings. I got to take care of my daughter because it's clear. Como dijo Shakira en su canción, claramente, o sea, tú ya no quieres nada. Entonces, ¿para qué pelear algo? You cannot force something.
You can't.
El zapato forzado simplemente no va a quedar y no va a entrar.
I gave up on my marriage, and I was with him for 25 years and 20 years married. So I worked very hard.
But I'm
going to
correct
marriage.
you didn't give up. You tried.
I tried.
And then you decided to let go,
But
which is very different.
when I realized I was not a priority in his life, I le valía. It just like but it took me a long time to realize that it was never going to work.
Exactly.
Like I was always going to be the one putting in more effort. And did I stand by his side? I stood by his side.
You sure
for
did. 20 years.
All sorts of stuff.
That's a long time.
And so I walked away with my conscience clean because I was the one who at the end was like, it's done.
With zero guilt.
Done.
You know what?
Zero
I have a question for you because I think this is going to help a lot of people. And, when you're going through all that turmoil, right? And you have, you go and it's a roller coaster, right? You have good moments and you have bad moments, even when you just don't feel like it's going in the right direction.
Yeah.
You have a cumulative experience of what your marriage is going to be like. And even with the bad times, at what point do you say, okay, this is it? Well, it doesn't have to be
like a moment.
But just like, what was that moment for you? And it didn't have to be like maybe a specific moment, but like you're like, okay, I'm making my decision today.
It was for me, I think it was just coming to the realization that like I would talk to him. I was actually out of the country.
Yeah.
And I called him. It was like the middle of my night, but I knew it was morning for him. And I called him and I was just crying and crying. And I was like, I don't know, like, if we're working anymore. And he was just like, honestly, like, I could pretty much hear like his shoulders shrugging, and he's like, you're beating a dead horse. Like, I don't know what else to say.
Wow.
And it was like in that moment that I was like, why am I going to go home to that? Like, why at that point I was like, what am I going home to? Like somebody who doesn't like, it wasn't like he was like, I'm sorry, I'm going to do anything and everything to keep us together. And I'm sorry for everything.
He just didn't care.
It was just like, he basically was like, I don't know what else you want me to do. And it was like,
wow, like try.
I want you to try.
Yes.
Realization.
I in that moment. And before that too, I needed him to be like, I need you. I need you right now. I don't want to lose you. And I didn't feel that. And I was like, and just, I knew that I wanted to be with someone who was going to be afraid to lose me, who needed me. And I think that's like, we'll talk about this later, like as we date new people. I want to be with someone who just does not want to lose me, and it's like gonna work so hard to keep that relationship
You want
going.
someone that will fight for you.
Fight for me.
That will fight for you and for the marriage and for the family in this case, because obviously there's two daughters. And when you don't see the fight and you don't feel the fight, then why are you fighting?
I didn't feel the fight.
You know?
He couldn't wait to get off the phone. Like, okay, you're just, okay, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to say? And it was
bye.
But see, you being away,
eso me dolió.
It kind of like set the stage for you to come back home and say, okay, do I continue this fight that has no ending because there's nothing coming from that side? Or do I start, I make a decision, I say, hasta aquí llegué.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. I remember that
love
trip.
him to pieces, and I know that we still love each other. He gave me a Valentine's card, you guys, this past Valentine's.
Wow.
And he said that I was his first Valentine's, and he told me like how much he cares for me. It wasn't mushy. Like I said, I know he's with somebody. He has a Valentine. They went out of town that weekend, but before he went out of town, he dropped off a Valentine's card for me. You know, he gets me Christmas gifts.
That could be cute or twisted.
I know. But I mean, like, nos respetamos. We still have a respect for each other.
I really do. I'm surprised.
He still takes care of me. He still protects, our family, and he still has a beautiful home for us. But it's sad. But I'm still sad. It still makes me sad that we are not going to grow old together, because that's what I imagine. Oh, we're going to grow old.
Yes,
I
think that's a big one too.
Yeah.
They say with divorce, you're not only going through the emotion at the moment, but you're also mourning your future. You're mourning that future that you envisioned with that person. Right. And so those Christmases that you envisioned, that trip that you had, that, those trips with the family, with their family, just looks different now.
Walking down the street, holding hands. Till this day on my blog, I see this par de viejitos. And it always gets to me. I don't know. I think they live down the street. Y siempre los veo como las 6:30. Literally, they're hunched, but they're holding hands. They're not even talking to each other. Yeah. But the fact that they're still holding on after so many decades, I'm like, wow, like that is a vision. You know? To literally grow old,
really
grow
like that. Old. Yes,
it's very rare.
Yes. Right?
No, not that rare. It's still there.
It's still there. But then you don't know when they got together.
You don't know.
What if they just got together last week?
They've only been together 10 years.
No, girl, I've been living on the block for 13 years, and it's the same. But I can tell they're one of the good ones,
Yeah.
No, but there's a saying that says que la rutina mata.
Yeah.
Routine kills, and in this country, it's. I'm not saying that we're like the worst place or maybe the most place where it's so easy to get divorced, but I think that indifference is what kills, really.
Yes.
Porque eso que dijiste tú, where you were really fighting and you made that call, and he was like, that indifference has to be so painful.
Yeah.
So painful. La indiferencia para mí es lo que más tiene que matar.
Yeah.
Yes, that's
you
so
both
true.
have to work at it, right? I think relationships, when they say it's hard work, it's not that you're going to have difficult moments all the way through. It's that you need to learn how to communicate. When everything is good and joyful, those are the great moments, right? Like when you start a new relationship, it's fantastic. Really getting through and learning how to be a couple means learning how to argue. Learning how to not see things the same way, learning how to respect each other for their own decisions. And then also like being a champion and a cheerleader for each other and your own dreams, because that's another thing when you talk about routine. Yes, like I remember, especially after having kids, like you just get so locked in to being a mom to these kids that you forget who you are, but you need that partner that supports you and says, okay, what do you want to do for yourself today? Or what do you want to do for yourself this year? Or like, I need you to champion me, but don't expect other people to do that for you if you don't do that for them.
Exactly.
And so we have to do that for them as well, right? You have to check in.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people get used to the routine and you don't put in the work.
Too
Yes.
comfortable.
Yeah.
Like, and we take it for granted. Oh, he's always going to be there. I'm always going to be there.
Take it for
And
granted.
we cannot take our partners for granted.
That is so true.
Yo siempre digo, el diablo está en todas partes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and the devil will manifest itself through a
Yes.
woman, through a man. I don't know
Yeah,
nowadays.
yeah,
But
yeah.
el punto es que we cannot get too comfortable with what we have. Anything can go like this because distractions are sometimes stronger than
everywhere.
love.
Yes.
Sometimes stronger than love.
Right.
And so my question for you girls, since you guys are still going through it, intuition. Women's intuition, I mean, come on. No nacimos ayer. When we feel something's happening, we know something's happening. So fortunately, I haven't felt that in my almost 18 years of marriage. But when I was dating, I felt what I knew right away when the guy was like,
You mean the red
cheating.
flags?
Yeah, I read right
Yeah,
away.
you read the red
I
flags.
read the red flags. So I want to know, you guys, was it your intuition that told you for the very first time, no, this is not a work situation, we're long hours, or like, aquí hay una persona más involucrada, o aquí hay algo, but your intuition told you, did kick in for both of you?
Yes, it did. But at first, I kind of like didn't want to believe it.
You
Let's just say
ignored
that.
it?
I think a lot of women do. They're like, no, that's not really happening. And then other people, when you tell it to other people, they're like, oh my God, you're being a fool. Like, the writing's on the wall. Are you kidding me? And you're like, no, but he wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
Right.
He would never do that. I know him very well. He's not like the rest. He would never do that. And to this day, he denies it. But I really believe, because things did change. He started to stay at work longer. He had to stay at a hotel because he was getting off, supposedly, I got to do this.
Yeah.
Can't come back home. So, I mean, there was that first year, he wasn't even home for his own birthday. And,
Talking about birthdays.
me and my daughter bought him a little cake to blow the candles, and Daddy never got home that night. So it was really, really screwed up.
How painful for your daughter.
Very painful, super painful. So I said, don't worry about it. He'll be here tomorrow. But that knot in the stomach kept getting like tighter and tighter. I'm like, wait, there's something going on. And things just started to kind of go south from there. And you couldn't get him out of it. You just talk to your ex at the time, and they're like, no, you're crazy. I would never do that. And what about you? Maybe you're the one. And you're like,
that
why is he
sucks.
turning it on
Exactly,
me?
that
right?
has to suck.
Because
Gaslighting.
You're so distant. Well, I'm
gaslighting.
distant because you are.
Yeah.
We're just not connecting.
Yeah.
And I don't want to blame everything. It takes two. Certain things. You navigate through certain things, and maybe he couldn't stand your mood. And I always say maybe it was my perimenopause kicking in. I was a little wackadoodle for a while. So but I guess what hurt me was that he didn't want to try, like D as well. D's like, come on, let's work it out, and they just don't.
Accept it.
They don't want to fix it. They don't want to work on it.
Yeah.
And they kind of gave up on it already.
Do you think it's almost like they don't want to work on it so you can finally throw the towel, and that way they don't have the pressure
Sometimes I wonder.
of bringing it up?
Sometimes I wonder.
Maybe that's it. Like
Sometimes it's like, I think maybe he didn't want to hurt me. And it was just like, just let it go until Diana throws in the towel.
She throws in the towel. Exactly. That could be. And a fun fact, by the way. So I was thinking, I wonder who has the highest divorce rates. And I always thought it was California, but it's actually Nevada. And of course, these numbers.
Vegas.
These numbers change
24-hour
quite a bit every year.
divorces.
But the recent numbers show that Las Vegas, Nevada.
Yeah,
and that's where a lot of people get married too.
I was
They
just
get
going to
hitched.
say.
And then divorce
in
They do the
24 hours.
drive-through
Yeah.
wedding.
Those weddings son llamaradas. I mean, it's not a celebrity bashing episode, but let's look at Jennifer Lopez. She married her love of her life midnight in Vegas.
Yes.
And where are they now?
Yeah.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah.
Britney Spears. What was that?
Britney
48
Spears.
hours.
Yeah.
There's a lot.
Yes.
There's a lot.
Let's go
on
and on.
Por el momento, I
Yeah.
get that. But like, let's say like, you know, like, I'm not saying that wasn't real love, but like these marriages with essence that have been dating for years, like in your case, where that he was, you know, since you were so young.
Yeah. Yes.
That's where it has to hurt. Like in my case with my mom, she married her first and only boyfriend, my dad. That's why my mom's rule, las voy a dejar salir con novios, pero prométanme que no se van a casar con el primer novio.
That's
No
the
hagan
best
la
advice.
misma mensada que yo hice, and I will never forget that, you know? And so, yeah, with my mom, it was like, it was her first and only love. So you know how hard it is to give up on that?
Yeah.
But my mom tried so hard until she saw what her daughters were looking like. They're going to grow up with a man that's hardly home. He's drinking. And when he comes home, he yells, he screams, and then, you know, the physical
abusive.
abuse. Yes. So just from my perspective, of course, when I grow up, this is so true, girls. I envision myself as a mom. You were talking about envisioning.
Yeah.
The bigger picture, like future.
Right.
Because of how I grew up with a divorced household, I never saw myself with the man. I would only see Argelia with the boy. But I never saw myself with the man because little did I know, like, you know, without even thinking about it, my mom is single. This marriage, I guess it's normal for dads to walk out. I thought it was normal for men to come and yell at women, and I thought it was normal for men to walk out and disappear, and that's it. So think that's why I grew up thinking, or no, not thinking, I just grew up envisioning myself always the single mom. Like so later on, I realized that I was afraid of marriage.
And see, that's a good point that I'm going back to the kids. Okay, so statistics show that when you come from divorced families, you have a higher risk of actually getting divorced. Way higher risk. And also girls. So this made me so upset.
Because we have girls.
Because we have girls and a lot of single moms. You know, luckily I'm in a very strong relationship, and you started a nice relationship with this wonderful, you know, man. And that's good. But the truth is, a lot of women, they float around after they get divorced. So they're going from one man to another. So your kids, especially the girls, are looking at you.
Yes.
They're looking at you bouncing around from one man to another. So it makes them more promiscuous also because they think that that's normal.
Like normal.
Like, you know, my mom did it. She was going back and forth. And so it's another thing that we, you know, single moms have to be very careful with when we have daughters. We have to protect them, have talks with them. And so they can know that being promiscuous is not the way.
Yeah.
It's not the way.
And to tag along with that, so my mom never dated for a long time. So it's funny because talking about years, my mom married at 18 and her marriage lasted 10 years. I'm about to celebrate 18 years of marriage. Wow. So yo le digo, Mom, sorry, pero pues ya te gané. Ya te pasé. No, and she's so obviously her number one fear is that her daughters would, her word fracasar, which I've already told her, no puedes decir fracasar because you gave it your all. It's not you. It's just la historia que te tocó vivir, no? But going back to that, I think that's why my mom she knew that she was raising girls. I mean, I was 8 when my parents were divorced or separated first, and then divorce came. And then the teen years came. Yeah. You know?
Yes.
And so it's not a story, it's not an episode about my mom, but when my mom finally kind of gave herself a chance to date because you imagine my abuelita was like, tú no te puedes volver a casar. Digo, ya te divorciaste, ya ni modo, te toca vivir sola porque estas niñas te están viendo. These girls are watching you. But you know, el corazón es el corazón. She's still young. I mean, my mom divorced at 28.
Oh my God.
I became a mom at 34, you know? Yeah. So when I do the math, I'm like, oh my God, of course my mom was going to feel the need to like butterflies.
So
and
young.
So when it came to giving herself another chance, I was 16. O sea, habían pasado casi 10 años.
Yeah. Teenager.
And so unfortunately that didn't work out. And I think it was a second heartbreak that did it for my mom to just, I'm just going to give myself to my daughters and this is it. Ya no se volvió a intentar nada. And that's what I always tell my mom. Like, now I see it from a different lens, because when I'm a kid, of course I don't want to date anyone. I'm jealous, you know, I don't want this man here or whoever it is. But now at my age, I don't like. I wish my mom would have fallen in love so she could grow old with someone.
Well, you don't want to
Yeah.
see them by themselves.
Exactly,
You don't.
because now my dad, guess what? I'm happy that he found love. People ask me, how can you be friends with the dad that left you and abandoned you and blah, blah. You know what? As a father, he was the worst. He knows it. As a friend, he's a great friend now. I came to terms. I healed. It took a long time, very long journey. Matter of fact, I've been wanting to write a book about that. I get a lot of comments from women. They're like, how were you able to forgive your father after everything that he did? And he wasn't an evil guy. It just didn't work out, right? I'm not justifying him, but still, I don't know how I came to terms, but time heals, kind of what you're saying.
Heals, yeah.
Time heals. But at the end of the day, I am happy that he is happy with someone because no está solo.
You wish them the best.
I wish him the best. And guess what? Porque las 4 hijas estamos con mi mamá.
Right.
Mi mamá no está sola. Nos tiene a nosotras.
Yeah.
Mi papá está solo. So the fact that he has someone, for me, gives me peace of mind. But I honestly, just how divorce affected me, I was scared of marriage for a very long time.
Yeah.
That's why I think I dated quite a bit.
Yeah.
Because I was, as soon as I saw a little red flag, oh no, aquí no es, me va a poner el cuerno.
Yeah.
Me va a poner el cuerno. Y quizás no me lo ponía, but in my world, he's going to cheat on me.
had your
because
wall up
I had
already.
my wall
Yeah,
up,
your
big
wall was
time.
up already.
Big
You guys
time.
both just described something that and I kind of mentioned it earlier, but you were seeing your mom date at 16 and you're having your own feelings about that, right? And then you're worried about Alexa and you're worried about, we were worried about our kids, you know, and any kind of trauma that we perceived trauma that they're going through. But, the thing that we now know is therapy, like we need help. And so even when you are like thrown against the wall, when you do come down on that floor and you pick yourself up, you look at around you, and obviously it's all our friends, our collective people that like bring us up,
village.
And that is a form of therapy as well. But like now we know better, and now we know that we need to get them help because they're going through their own experiences, right?
They really
and then
are.
we need to get our help ourselves because just chatting about it with our friends is not enough. Like we need a new perspective. We need to show, sometimes you don't overshare everything with your friends. And sometimes those very vulnerable moments that you're feeling, you need someone that is completely neutral to hear you out, to help you through those moments, to make better decisions, and to coast all of those different anxieties that we have.
Oh my God, anxiety.
Right?
Yes.
Like, you worry about all the things that you're seeing, but all of the future things. Like, what is it going to be like when X?
Yes.
When they graduate, when they get married, what is it going to be like for Christmas, right? Your first Christmas. Like, you're stressed out.
But I want to
scary.
pick up on that therapy. How do you tell your kids about this is not working out with your dad?
Yeah.
We don't have the right words, right? I've never been there, but I do have a friend that went through it. It's just very interesting. Her parents went through it at a very adult age. I mean, we're talking 40 years later, practically of marriage.
right.
Oh.
So now it's her turn to tell her children because guess what? Grandparents are getting divorced. Grandparents get divorced.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
And you don't want to tell your kids because you don't want them to think that that's normal. I'm sorry, we can't have our kids in a bubble either. We cannot have our kids in a bubble, but we have to find the right words.
That's right.
The right scenarios.
That's right.
And Ed Chavez, who's one of our closest friends,
Yes.
he always said this, and I think this is beautiful. Just imagine yourself in a high rise. You're on the 25th floor, maybe 30, whatever. You got to come take the elevator and bring it down to, how old is your daughter? 6? Okay. You're making a stop on floor 6. You walk out those doors and you're going to talk to the 6-year-old like a 6-year-old. But you got to tell the 6-year-old the truth.
Yes.
That this is what's happening in our family and it's not easy, but happiness at the end is going to find us somewhere. That's why you need an expert.
That's what I was going to say. A lot of people can maybe navigate that. There's so many books out there. There's so many experts. But, sometimes we read all of that and you still don't land where you want to be, right? You're like, I'm not sure how this is going to work. And sometimes you just need that extra help.
Sí.
And so I've known people that have shared these tough moments or difficult things that are happening in life, and you just need somebody else to be there to moderate, right? And I think because there might be big feelings, they might shut down, right? And so as a parent, we are not experts. We have love. We have love growing out of us. Our hearts, our kids are our hearts outside of our bodies, right? We love them so much. We don't always have the right words for them. And so getting, there are people who literally study this and not everything is a one size fit all, like we have to pick and choose what it is that we want to present to our kids and how it is that it's going to, be well received by them. And it's not one time, you know, you have to like continue to check in with them to make sure they're okay. And another thing with yourself, we have to check in with ourselves and make sure that we're okay. There are moments, and this is for everything in divorce, it's hard times, you have to check in with yourself. You have to say, okay, I'm going through this. Can I get out of this myself or do I need help?
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, you bring it up. And because it's an empowerment episode, this platform is all about women empowerment. Like, just like we say that being a mom or a wife doesn't define me, being a divorced woman shouldn't define you. And I think that's a stigma that we need to tackle and get rid of, because I think it's very sad that even men joke about it. Es que es una mujer divorciada. O sea, como que hay there's perception.
Yeah.
And I think we need to like finally put an end to that stigma.
Yeah.
Have you guys felt it?
Absolutely.
I have, but I also think, and Dee, correct me if I'm wrong, I think more people are more open to it. See, before, many, many years ago, it was almost shameful, especially being Latina and especially in Mexico. Like, está divorciada, baggage. And honestly, listen, I met the most wonderful guy, okay? And I came with baggage, so did he. And there's single guys that don't even have kids that are dating women with baggage, if you want to call it baggage, to kids. Yeah. And they don't care because now they're really seeing the value of, what a high level woman you are, and that's important. So
I kids are bonuses, though. I really do.
Let's change baggage to bonuses.
Let's change baggage to bonus.
But it's not baggage. I know for me, the guy that I'm seeing.
But in society, they call it baggage.
They do. Baggage includes kids. Yeah. But for me, when I was, this man was so interested in me, the man I'm seeing now, and I was like, are you sure about me? Because I'm like, I come with a lot of baggage, and I wasn't even referring to my kids because he knew I had kids. For me, it was, I come with trauma. I come with insecurities. I'm going to have to like know where you are sometimes. Like maybe I might tell you like, you need to send me a picture of who you're with and he's like, okay. And this man like leaves his phone out and he's like, he gives me his phone. I can't read the message. Read it for me. And I'm like, give me his password to his phone. And I'm like, this is so weird. Like to me, it's weird.
And it's supposed to be normal.
But
but because
it's
of
so
where
funny.
Because of your history,
the trauma.
That's what we realized. Like, holy shit. What kind of relationship was I in that
what
they
were
were
you
hiding?
Missing out on? Yeah.
Exactly. Like you see a whole different person. It's
oh my gosh. And like you said, normal. I am so like I'm in a relationship right now where I am like, is this really happening for me? Like it's so
organic and peaceful.
It's so organic.
It's so new to you.
It is new, but just like the way he treats me, I'm just like, oh my god, like this is I guess the way I was meant to be treated. But again, my trauma kicks in. Like, where's the catch? What's gonna happen? When's the ball gonna drop?
So you're on guard.
So when
you feel like it's too good to be true.
Still on guard.
So when I told him, I remember when he was like, I want to date you, and I'm like, but wait, I come with baggage, and like I said, it wasn't even the kids. It was like, I come with trauma, insecurities, a lot of stuff.
So how do you bring up this conversation to your children, to your teens?
Which one?
Well,
about dating.
About dating, because now both of you, obviously, you have an amazing man on your side for 5 years already, Coma? 5 years?
Okay, so coming back to me, yes. So I did not, one of the rules that I had is I did not, don't introduce any men to your daughter until you are sure that this man is solid.
Sticking around for a while.
Oh, yeah. So yes.
I like that word, solid.
Solid. Like, is he just for fun or what's going to happen here, right?
Because you can have fun.
Is he a fuck boy or is he a fling or is he a booty call?
Well, here's the thing that sometimes you don't know how long it's going to last. Like, it could be a few months but yes, here we are. We're 6 years later, super solid. And I have to say that he wanted to introduce me to his son earlier on, and I said, no, let's wait a little bit, and then we can both introduce our kids, but later. So I think we waited about 6 to 8 months.
Okay.
Before I introduced my daughter to him, and it was wonderful because then I knew, like, okay,
but you did the
we
introduction.
are a couple.
But when did you talk to your daughter first before even introducing? Because I'm sure there was a conversation, right? Like, I'm dating, your mommy's dating.
Yes,
you know?
yes. There was a conversation, and again, she was so young. Also, I think she was about 9 years old. You know, so she was still young, and oh, mommy, you know. So I eased into it. I have a friend. That's what I said. I have a friend.
Mommy's friend.
I have a friend. You know, he's a really nice man, and I'm getting to know him, and I like him. Oh, you do? And then, yeah, like, that's how you start. Like, you can't say, oh, I have a boyfriend. I have a man.
Right.
No, you have to start as, I have a friend. You know, we've been going out for coffee and some lunch, and I'm getting to know this friend, and he's so nice. And you point out all the positive things, right?
Of course, lo estás pintando.
Yeah, exactly. And that's how I introduced Andy. He's my friend, you know. Then she got to meet him, and then he came around a little more. And then we even vacationed together. So then I said, you know, we're solid. He's a solid person. And the rest is history.
He loves mommy. Wow. Look at how she lights up. Look at how she lights up when you talk about Andy.
He's a great person, you know. He's a really... And you know what? One tip that I have for all those, comadritas out there that you might... Maybe you're dating at this moment. You're young and you're dating. Or any age, really. Really, really... pick the right man. Seriously. Take your time. Don't rush into anything. It is so important to pick the right man. And sometimes you're blinded.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you're too young. You don't know better, right? And sometimes, but now if you're older and you've already been divorced, you know, really be selective with the person you date, you know, because you deserve it all. So you really do. If you're a high quality woman, high level woman, you deserve a high quality man as well.
You don't settle.
But I always say, if you need to level up, then level up. Work on yourself. You know, if you're not where you want to be, if you want to attract a high level man, you have to also be a high level woman.
What is it? Write the list?
Yeah.
I
love that.
Yeah, write the list and be the list. And really, I wrote the list. I have a list. One day I'll share it. It's hilarious. But I wrote what I wanted and I envisioned it. Down to even, I want somebody that, even if he's foreign, that knows Spanish.
Oh my God, Andy.
And Andy's German and speaks and writes fluent Spanish.
I love talking to him in Spanish.
I also threw in there, I would love a man that loves to dance and travel and who appreciates the Latino culture. And my goodness,
you got it in
God
Andy.
and the universe delivered to this list.
You were molding Andy.
I love that Mindy says, and I threw it in there.
Yeah,
like,
I did. I went extra. Like, you know, it wasn't just about a good heart. And it was and that he speaks Spanish and that he likes
Oye, y
Latino.
aparte, bien galán, o sea.
Ay,
¿También lo pediste así de guapo?
I mean,
así de guapo lo
you
pediste.
know what? I just said easy on the eyes. I wasn't even trying to be picky, but damn, I was like, okay, great. It was a bonus. It was a total bonus.
That was a bonus.
Also a very handsome man. And he's also a father, so we had something in common, which is wonderful. You know, because I always say, if you date somebody who doesn't have kids, maybe they won't really understand that us women have duties.
Yes.
See?
And dating kids is, you know, dating somebody with kids. You know, I was listening to your story about meeting, and I think Carl and I, Carl was divorced. I met him, I think, 2 to 3 years after he was divorced. He has 2 kids, and at that time they were 9 and 11 when I met them. We talked about this, you know. I think from the very beginning we knew that this was a little bit more serious, you know. But we wanted to wait to meet the kids. And we waited so much so because I was like, no, you know, like, it was a few months. And I was the one who didn't know if I wanted to stay in a relationship with a man who was older than me, who was divorced with 2 kids, right? That wasn't on my list, right?
Yeah.
That was not part of our vision.
And you were a
board.
young 20-something.
Yes, I was in my 20s. And so he was 40, divorced with 2 kids. And, you know, that was not in my cards. And so when I met him, you know, you talk about the list and the things that attract you to a person, and he and I instantly became friends. And I think that for me was was it, you know? Like, and so every conversation we had, we've closed down restaurants because we were just chatting about everything.
Yes.
The most controversial topic. We were just talking. And so it was a long time before I even said yes to a date with him because I didn't know. And when it came to the kids, I said, no, you know, I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait. To the point that by that time, his kids were already hearing about me. And so the younger one says, who's this Janet? I want to meet Janet, right? Because they were hearing, you know, friend Janet is whatever.
The rumor was out, right?
I did. I met the younger one first, and then I met, you know, the older one later. And you know, it was a heart-pumping moment for me because, you know, it's like you're meeting somebody with their kids, and I took that very seriously by the time that I did meet them. And so by that point, it's like I'm accepting you. I care about you. I want to continue our relationship. But it's also like I am also accepting these kids into my life.
Yeah.
And so from that moment on, I didn't know how to do it, right? I'm in my late 20s. I now have an 11 and a 9-year-old, you know, that I'm dating a man at that point. I'm not even a stepmom. What does that look like, right? What does that look like?
And what is your family going to say? That must have been another conversation.
That was a tough one.
I bet.
Yeah,
that was
especially
a tough being
one.
Latinos, coming from, like we were saying, culturally speaking.
Yes.
Like, no te casas con alguien que ya trae...
No
hijos o hijas.
There was a couple of negatives there, right? Well, they're not, but like your parents, I could see them saying, wait a minute. He has kids, and he's older than you, like, you know, a lot older. So, and no, not good.
You know,
it's not
and I think
good.
you know the perceived, you know. I always say with Carl, like we look at people with age differences, and we're like, oh, you know, we are the outlier. You know, we are the two people that like we don't think about those things because we just clicked in a way that we just have so much in common, you know?
And you guys look so good together.
Yes, you do.
He has such a young spirit.
He does.
He will outdo you.
guys balance each other out.
Let me tell you.
He will outdo you.
He will outdo. No,
he does.
When he's got energy,
more energy than I do.
Outdo her.
100%.
She got to keep up with him.
I do have to keep up with him. He's the one that goes hiking on it.
Exactly.
He's the early bird and then he stays up late.
He's a rare gem. I just have to say. What a great guy.
He's a beautiful person.
Yes.
And when we were dating, it's so funny because I talked to him about this. And I talked to the girls about this too. Now we get along so well. And the girls are now, you know, 29 and 31 almost, you know? So I've known them since they were 11 and 13.
Oh my God.
Isn't that wild? They were teenagers. So now I'm going through my teenagers, right? And so I have a very different perspective, I think, because of the girls. And so I think one of the things that I learned about, you know, just now looking back and going through that experience is patience. I think, and a lot of grace, you know, even with Carl's ex, you know, when they were going through things, and she was going through things and he was going through things, you know, I think stepping back, having grace, understanding that everybody wants the best for the girls.
Yes.
And it doesn't look the same always. You know, sometimes, you know, I always say as a stepmom, you know, it's easier not to say anything.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's easier not to say anything. It's easier not to care, like not to care. And that just has never been me, you know? And so I did care. And sometimes I said things that they didn't want to hear because a teenager doesn't want to hear that they need to change. Or
that's a teenager
who are they going
in general.
out? Totally.
Yeah, right.
But especially
But
from a stepmom. You know?
Absolutely.
And so I think all of, and there was conflict, right? Because it's like, are you overstepping? You're overstepping, or, you know, and it's time, right? It takes time to navigate those spaces. But I do have a different perspective because I am the stepmom. I say when somebody else loves your child, that is a bonus.
Oh, that's how I look at it.
You know, it is.
That's how
and
I'm
you
trying to look at
and
it.
I've talked to you many times about it.
Look, I think like I said, his girlfriend, my ex's girlfriend, is very sweet. Whenever I see her, she says hello. She's polite to me.
Yeah.
I think she's beautiful. I think my little one asked me one night as she was falling asleep, "Mommy, is it okay if I love M?" That's her name. If I love her, and I said, yes, of course it is. I was like, of course you can love her because they spend so much time together now. And I'm like, of course it is. What was it? What?
It didn't hurt you a little bit? It didn't hurt you a little bit? because you gave birth to your child. So
yes and no, because I'll always be mommy. I will always be mommy.
Thank you. That mommy love can never compare.
Karma. All I could think about was, what am I going to tell her? Say, no, you shouldn't love that woman. That woman, as like I said, as far as I know, she's not the one who broke up my marriage. So I was like, why can't my daughter love this woman? And you know what? And like I said, if she's going to spend time with her, then yes, I want this woman to have a good relationship with me, because I want her to treat my children well.
Of course.
But Mindy, you bring up a very strong point. Then I think when you see other people becoming the cool person in your child's life, and then you have to,
of course,
lay down the law, and you have to make sure that they're doing their homework and they're getting to class on time. And then you have this other person that comes in and is just happy.
Girl, that even happens with our abuelitas or nannies.
Yes.
We all feel, as a mom, our instinct just kicks in about, wait, ¿quiere más a mi mamá? O sea, la abuelita? ¿O quiere más a la nanny? ¿O quiere más a la tía? That mother instinct kicks in because we're just mom and we want them. But I think that's what we realize, that mommy love will always be unique and different and special, no matter what the stepmom brings.
That's right. Or anybody else.
Next time I look at Stepmom, the movie with Julia Roberts, I'll think of you.
Oh, I gotta watch that.
That's a beautiful movie. But it's important. It's important to understand, and I think I learned a lot of that when I had my kids, and my kids would just go run to my mom, and my mom's like, "Ay, mira, they don't want to leave my house to you," and I'm like, "I'm so happy, because that means that they love somebody else as much as they love me, and as much as they love my husband.
Because they're getting love.
They are."
Yeah,
but it's a
thing.
You know what you talk about?
It's a mind fuck.
It's
a mind fuck.
It's switching the chip. No. Think of your own mother.
Yeah,
like they're not perfect, right? You love them so much.
Yeah,
that relationship with the mother is so special and unique. You don't have to be perfect. They will love you just the way you love your mom, her imperfections. They're going to love us the same way. And so all of those other people that come into their lives, while it gives you a little bit of that moment, you can choose another person for that moment, but in the long run, you are their mom.
It's a true human feeling, and it's totally and completely okay to go through those motions, especially early on. You're like, oh, but wait a minute. And one other thing is, I really want to, tell all the moms out there that are dating, to really stay close to your kids. Stay really, really close to your kids, because they need you more than ever. And if you ever bring a man into your life, really know everything about that man. Seriously, run a fucking background check on that man, because let me tell you, sometimes you bring a bad element into the household. Take care of your kids. This goes for girls and boys. For boy moms and girl moms. Really, really do that.
Coming from you, obviously it means a lot. How do you bring up this conversation with your teen daughter?
The man in my life?
The
dating? Actually, it happened right before Valentine's Day. How did it come out? I can't even remember, but I did ask her, like, oh, do you have a Valentine?
Did she see a box of chocolates laying around or what?
I think it's gotten to the point where, like, I didn't want to keep it a secret anymore, because there was the phone calls were coming in, and she's like, who's calling, and that kind of thing.
They're very nosy.
And I just didn't like that feeling. And with this guy, he's the first man in my life where I'm like, this is it just felt right. It just felt right. So around Valentine's Day, I was like, oh, do you have a Valentine? And she was like, no, not this year, or something like that. And then she says, well, what about you? And I was like, well, I'm talking to someone. And she's like, oh, so-and-so. She already knew his name.
Oh, wow.
She knew like information on him. I was like,
she did the background check.
Okay, she did a background check.
Right.
And she was really cool about it. So when the roses were there on the table, and the gifts and the pictures and this, it felt right. It felt right for me. And I know it's maybe too soon, because had you asked me 6 months ago, how long would it take for you to I would have said 6 to 8 months, like not until there's an engagement ring or something. But it felt right. This felt right. And I feel solid.
And el amor no se manda, right? You go with your intuition is telling you that this is good. This is good for you now, and hopefully it will be good for a long time. Right. That's what we want. In the end, we all just want to be happy.
Yes.
And I think that's really the message of this episode. That's a beautiful way to close it too. Like in the end, trust me being from the perspective of a child that grew up in a home where I saw, pain and tears and screams. A child just wants to see mommy and daddy happy. That is all I can tell you from my perspective. And then later on, you grow up, that sad kid grows up thinking, that's just part of my story. That's how I came to terms. Many times I questioned God, like, ¿por qué me mandaste los papás que se separaron? And I think I deserve more than that. And I blamed him for allowing it. But, it took me years to forgive my past and to forgive my dad.
Yeah.
To forgive my dad. We can never forget, but we can forgive. And I just came to terms that that's just part of my story.
Yeah.
It was meant to be for me to go through that chapter.
And a lot of people go through that too. It's very common.
And my mom accepted her story. And when you accept your story and you're able to share the story without crying.
Yeah.
Look, I am proud of myself today for not shedding a tear, because every time I would talk about my mom's and my dad's separation, I was going through the motions. That meant
I would cry too about
that
mine.
I was not healed yet. So to tell you today, comadritas, that it is part of our story, and you will survive this, like the story. I will survive, like the song. I will survive.
I love that.
And
like
learn
final
to
thoughts, I think you were getting to it, but like, what are your final thoughts? What are your final advice from just everything that we've experienced, and maybe just those final thoughts on divorce?
That life does get better.
Thank you.
That time does eventually heal the wounds. And a lot of it depends on yourself also. You have to see that light at the end of the tunnel and work on yourself and take care of your kids. If you have kids after divorce, give them tons of love, show them, be the example, and just keep it together as much as you can, and just know that there is hope and you can reinvent yourself one more time.
I love that.
Yeah.
Bravo.
Yeah.
I like that. What about you, Dee?
Just jumping off of that too, learn to be independent, because I was so dependent, but I have learned to be independent, learn to go do things on my own, learn a new sport. I learned how to shoot a gun. I learned to play pickleball. I'm taking golf lessons by myself. I don't even need Janet. I don't need you guys to go. I learned to do it independently, so that when you do start dating or find someone, it's just a partner to join you, but you can still be solo.
Stuff. You have your own
that's
hobbies,
what I'm like.
things.
That's what I kind of went into in dating was. I just now I don't need the man to give me babies or buy me a house or buy me a car or
Been there, done it.
Been there, done it. I don't need a baby daddy. I don't need a sugar daddy. Well, sugar daddy wouldn't be a problem. Just kidding. No, but I mean, I don't need those things that when I was in my 20s, that's what I thought a husband was. Now I want a partner. I want a life partner.
Yeah.
Now that's what I want. But I'm independent. I love me.
Beautiful.
And the partner is just a bonus.
Sí.
Yeah.
Qué bonito.
That's great.
Yeah, I
love
would
that.
probably say the final thoughts is, we all go through it in different ways, and just, when you need help, get help, and also communication. I think communication is key, whether it be your kids or your partner, always communicate, tell that person how you feel, and trust, that trust factor, and finding that new partner and continuing that trust and checking in with the kids, I think is super important.
I love that.
Sure.
Just to end it, normalize therapy.
Yeah.
Normalize therapy, communication. Even if you have a healthy marriage, like in my case, and Janet's, we're very blessed. But just because it's healthy doesn't mean we don't have issues. Matter of fact, TMI here, I have therapy in 5 minutes. That's why we have to cut this episode. I'm not lying. I literally have therapy in 5 minutes, because I am still
You're still
learning.
working on your
We're a work in
relationship.
progress.
Yes, we
right?
are not a perfect marriage.
Yes.
Anything can fall apart.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not set on stone. Papelito no habla. Papelito no protege.
Yeah.
Let's get that straight. So working on ourselves, no matter what stage of your life you are, do never get comfortable, comadritas.
Oh, what a great
Never
Yes.
get comfortable. If that's
What a
something my
great
mom
word.
taught me,
Yeah.
never
What a great word.
get
Never
comfortable.
get comfortable.
That's why what you said about learning how to be independent is the biggest thing, because you just never know.
That's right.
When life's going to throw you a curveball.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yo meto las manos al fuego por mi matrimonio, get this straight. Pero no puedo meter las manos al fuego por él.
Yeah.
I just don't know. I'm not him.
Yeah.
Right.
But las meto por mí.
Yeah.
That's why. Talk about it. I'm going to therapy right now. I need it. Not that I'm going through a crisis.
That's another episode.
That's another episode of why. But this has been a great, great, great episode,
Yes.
girls.
I love
I've learned
it.
so much more about you, and just about being open about, let's talk about the D word. And no, it's not
It ain't that.
Diana. It's not Diana.
A lot of D after
It's
divorce.
not Diana. It's not Dick. It is divorce. Let's not be afraid of that word, okay?
That's right.
We're not
Yes.
promoting divorce.
No.
We're promoting self-love.
Yes.
That's
¿Verdad?
right.
Que no.
That's right.
Y por
Self-love.
nosotras.
That's
Yes.
right.
Mujeres
Yes.
independientes. I'm very
Yes.
proud of
Cheers.
you, Dee.
Independence.
Proud of
and
you, Mindy, Coma.
Keep it going.
you.
Janet, you
Thank
too as
you.
a stepmom. You are like
Yeah.
one of the best out there that
Yes.
I've met in my
Yes.
entire
Oh my
life.
God, you're so sweet.
La verdad
It's
que
a lot
sí,
of
eh?
work, right? You got to keep working
Yes.
at it.
lot of work.
Y saludos a ustedes, comadritas. You want to vent? You want to share? You want anything
Tell
with us?
us your story.
Please.
Yes, I want to hear all
share.
your stories. Are you still together? Are you going through a lot of trouble right now in your marriage? Are you dating?
Yes.
I want to hear the
Yes.
dating stories.
Yes.
Okay, we're
And
gonna...
it's okay to date.
Yeah, it's okay
Yes,
to date.
it's
Are you
okay to
going through
date.
some rocky roads? How are the kids acting? Going
Share
through
it all.
divorce? We want to hear it.
Yes, we do.
We want to hear it.
We love you. At the end of the
love
day,
you.
you are not alone. Y nosotras tampoco.
You're not alone,
No.
comadritas. We're here with you. Salud.
Ahora,
To the next one.
tragos de amargo licor. Digo, porque también esos canijos se merecen, ¿verdad? O sea, pues no vamos a aguantar ya, ¿verdad?
Sí, es cierto.
2025, pa'
Que chinguen a toda su madre. Thanks for tuning in today. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. We'd love to see your reviews and hear your thoughts. You can also follow Comadres Unfiltered on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook for more updates. New episodes every Tuesday. Until next time, comadritas.